Hey, welcome. Today we're not just going to tell you a ghost story. No, we're going to take one apart, piece by piece, to see what really makes it tick. We're deconstructing the fantastic Hindi horror story Darr, which means fear, to figure out how it so masterfully builds psychological terror. So, let's flip on the lights and see what's really hiding in the shadows.
You know, the story doesn't kick off with a big scream. It starts with a simple question, whispered in the dark. Are you scared? And right away, that tells you everything. The real monster here isn't just some spirit. It's fear itself. It's that feeling we all get when we're alone somewhere dark. That one line, that's the key that unlocks this whole terrifying ride.
All right, so where does it all start? Well, for our first part of the breakdown, let's look at the setup. Every great horror story starts by taking a totally normal situation and twisting it into a place of complete vulnerability. So it all kicks off with a scene that feels, totally normal. You've got two friends, Khushbu and Manisha, driving home late from a wedding. The car breaks down. Annoying, but it happens, right? Manisha's not feeling well, so Khushbu has to pop over to a nearby pharmacy. But this simple problem is there for one crucial reason: to peel away every layer of safety and leave our main character, Khushbu, totally isolated.
And bam, right there, you've got a classic horror move, isolation. The second that car sputters to a stop on that dark, empty road, Khushbu is cut off from everything safe. She's vulnerable, and that vulnerability is the perfect soil for fear to start growing. Okay, let's move on to the next phase and see how this thing builds. With the stage all set, the real psychological game begins, with the arrival of a very, very unsettling character.
So as Khushbu is waiting, this young guy appears, but it's where he appears that's so important. He's standing under a giant tamarind tree. Now, for anyone who knows South Asian folklore, that's a massive red flag. Those trees are often said to be places where spirits live. So before he even says a word, the story is already layering on this very specific cultural kind of dread.
And then he hits her with this line, which is just a masterclass in mind games. Are you scared of me? Don't be. I'm not a ghost. Think about that. By being the first one to say the word ghost, he's the one who puts the idea in her head, and in ours. It's not comforting at all. It's a suggestion. He's basically telling her to be scared.
So this is a technique you could call psychological seeding. See, this entity doesn't jump out and yell boo. His weapon is his voice, his words. And it's so much more effective because it makes the victim a part of their own terror. He's just methodically planting these little seeds of doubt until she can't even trust what she's seen with her own eyes.
And this is where things really start to spiral. With those seeds of doubt firmly planted, Khushbu's entire perception of reality just begins to completely unravel.
This is where it gets really personal. Just look at this slide. It's like a battlefield inside Khushbu's mind. On the left, you've got her reality, a bright, busy pharmacy, her friend Manisha inside. But on the right, that's the truth this man is feeding her, a boarded-up, closed-down store on a completely empty road. This conflict is the engine that's driving all the terror.
And this forces us, the audience, to ask the same terrifying question she is. Is her mind just playing tricks on her? Is she just so scared that she's seeing things? Or is something else, something sinister, actively messing with her reality? The story just leaves you stranded in that uncertainty right there with her.
Then the story just starts piling on the supernatural evidence. The guy vanishes and reappears in a blink. Then nearby dogs start howling like crazy, the classic horror movie sign that something evil is here. But the man doesn't just let it hang in the air. He interprets it for her, explaining that dogs howl when a spirit has come to claim a soul. And then he drops the final, chilling suggestion, planting it right in her mind. Maybe that spirit didn't just come for a soul. Maybe it's chosen yours.
All of this builds and builds to the story's climax, our fourth section. And man, this is where the narrative delivers an absolutely brilliant one-two punch that just shatters everything.
So Khushbu, completely freaked out, scrambles back to the car. She's back in her little metal box of safety. Manisha's waiting. She thinks she's safe. She starts telling her friend about this incredibly creepy man. And she has no idea she's just walked straight into the first devastating trap.
Manisha turns to her and says, "I've been watching you this whole time. You were standing all alone." I mean, what a gut punch. That entire creepy conversation, the arguments about what's real and what isn't, it was all a performance for an audience of one. The man wasn't real. It was all in her head, right?
Just as Khushbu is reeling from this horrible idea that she might have just imagined the whole thing, her phone starts ringing. She looks at the screen. The name says Manisha. And this is the setup for the second and way more terrifying reveal.
The voice on the phone is the real Manisha, and she's frantic, asking, "Where did you go? You left me alone at the medical store." And in that instant, the truth just crashes down on her. The person sitting in the car next to her is not Manisha. The ghost was never just the man under the tree. It was in the car with her the entire time. And at that realization, Khushbu just passes out from pure, absolute terror.
Which brings us to our final, tragic section, the victim's end. The mystery is solved, but for Khushbu, the horror is far from over.
She wakes up in a hospital, a place of science and safety, right? It's so easy to just write everything off as a nightmare, a bad dream, but the story doesn't let her or us off the hook that easily. The final horrifying pieces of the puzzle are just about to click into place.
And her horrifying new reality is confirmed in 3 quick-fire moments. First, she sees a newspaper photo. It's him, the man from the tree, and the article says he died in an accident. Second, she remembers the tamarind tree was planted right next to the hospital's postmortem wall. The final undeniable proof comes when she hears his voice again. He's there, in her room, and she watches him walk calmly right through a solid wall. It's real. It's all real, and there's nowhere to run. In that final, heart-stopping moment, the ghost's prophecy comes true. The dogs outside the hospital start howling. That's the death knell. He's come to claim his victim. But there's no attack. He doesn't have to touch her. Khushbu dies from the overwhelming terror as her own heart just gives out. The doctors are helpless because the fear itself had become the weapon.
And so the story leaves us, not with an answer, but with this lingering, haunting question. If fear is the doorway for evil spirits, who opens it? Does the ghost force its way in? Or do we, with our own doubts and anxieties, unlock the door ourselves and let them in? It's a chilling thought to end on, right? It suggests that maybe the most terrifying ghosts aren't the ones that haunt houses, but the ones we willingly let inside our own minds.